Welcome guys back to Review It TV for all of you returning subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, welcome to Review It TV as well. I'm glad you guys could join us today. We're coming back to the beast. We're going to do another video today. This one's going to be specifically about the wheel bearings. Some of you guys are probably already familiar with the wheel bearings and the situation with being dry as far as the grease goes on these guys. I don't know if Can-am BRP or whatever is buying these from manufacturers and they're just coming dry without grease, or if they're just lacking over at the factory, who knows. The point of it is you don't want to leave your wheel bearings dry like that, because eventually they're going to wear out pretty fast. On average, if you do grease them regularly, you might even get double the life out of them. It can't hurt though. So with that being said, we're going to show you guys some tools and stuff that we're going to use, and we're going to show you the tool that actually grease the bearing, and then we'll go ahead and jump right into it, rip it down, and get it started. So let's come close and take a look. Today we're going to be using a standard little miniature grease gun. It takes these small tubes. I use the AMS oil. It's a synthetic. I use a water resistant too. You can buy like high temperature. You just want to make sure it's rated for bearings and stuff. You don't want it to be something where you necessarily need a high heat and you don't get that one, and then you end up having a problem with the grease. But this one is supposedly good for UTVs, ATVs, and all that good stuff. That's what I've been using since I've had Raptor 700s and so on. This is the grease tool. Comes in a box. That's the company. It's on Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description box, so if you're interested in getting it, it's the 39mm Can-am tool. 39 is the size. They have 40 and so on, but this is it. Basically, your CV joint axle is going to come through the center of this, and it's going to go into the hub area, and then there's the zerk where we'll actually put the grease. The grease will come out of the little holes on the side of this tool here, and it'll fill up the bearing, and that's what'll get it all greased up for today. So that's the main tool right there that we're using. Haven't done it yet, have never done this to be exact. So it's a learning trend for me today too, but it looks to be pretty easy when you look at your manual and different things that you can reference to be able to understand how to do this if you're not familiar with it. I always keep a little shop light around because you never know when you want to look inside the little hub area or the bearing area and look down there to see how dry your bearings are, or if you got a lot of grease, or for any situation regarding mechanics. Sockets, we're going to be using a number 30 for the center CV joint nut that holds the CV joint locked to the hub, and then we'll use a number 15 to take the brake caliper off, the two bolts that are on that. So get you a set. You'll want a 30. I'll find out what's comparable to a 30 if you don't have a 30, a number 30 socket. And I always say 30-inch, so if you guys ever see me saying that in a video, it's just me brain farting. But yeah, it's a size 30 socket, so get you something like that. This is a standard set, so we're going to find out today what's comparable to a 30. I don't know offhand, but we'll check it out. And just so you know, I don't always use Snap-on. I do use Harbor Freight and whatever's. I got Snap-on, Harbor Freight, I got Craftsman, everything. Another couple things you're going to want, guys, to do this is just get you a ratchet wrench. If you get one that has a adjustment head, you can get into places that are tight, and you know what I mean, lock it back in place and then wrench away with no issues on that. I always have my breaker bar with my socket to be able to take the lug nuts off the tire. I usually just break them loose really quick, and then I grab my impact gun and finish taking them off. Just makes it faster. So get you an impact. Snap-on 14.4 volts seems to be a pretty powerful one. I used this in one of my last videos when we actually did a wheel bearing replacement on a vehicle. If you're interested in seeing that, check out the description box below. I'll drop a link there too. So yeah, these are some of the basic tools. Not much to it, guys. Grease zerk, wheel bearing tool, grease gun and some grease, a light, some sockets, a ratchet wrench. You're going to need the large socket, the number 30 or comparable to it, to take that center nut off so you can get the hub off. And one more thing I think I like to use a lot, which may not be necessary for you guys, you can just use the regulars. I like to have the electric ratchet wrench set. Just makes things easier, and it has a little light right there and turns on. It just makes it nice when you're trying to get in the tight areas, and you know, it's a lot easier to just tighten the bolt up than to sit there wrenching, sorry. But yeah, so yeah, this is what we're using today. So we're also, if you look down on the ground over there, you can see that we're going to use some jack stands. I actually made this block. On the front of the Can-am, there's like a little, and he might be able to catch a shot, but there's like a little, and I'll get down there and show you, a little crease which is right here. So we want the block to come up over that. So we're gonna make a little indention on our block over here to go over that, so we're not pushing that and smashing that indention in. But that's where we're gonna jack it up today. So yeah. Okay guys, so yeah, this is what we're using in complete to jack up the car. We can call it a car, machine. Just don't call it a bike. That's just annoying. But anyway, whatever, call it what you want. I'm making the lift for the jack so I can put this under there with a couple 2x4s. So that way that indention, that crease that's on the bottom plate there will go right in between these two. I just grabbed a couple self-tappers because I don't have any wood screws available that I know of. I don't know where I put them, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hold this in place. I can take these off later if I need to use this for something else, but and then this one as well. Go ahead and just put 2 screws in there. Put another one in this little bit here, and I know this isn't a tutorial on your tools, but you know, some of you guys might not have tools, you're not mechanically inclined, will hold your screw in place. So yeah, that's just gonna sit essentially on top like that. And then when I jack it up, that plate will just drop that little crease right in between these two 2x4 pieces. They're 12 inches. I think this is like a 10 by 10 or something, this block. I've had them for a while, I don't remember, but yeah, so I can just slide this right under. So we'll go ahead and get that started. I would recommend chocking your back tire, guys. I've chocked the back tire on this one. I don't need to show you, but just in case, you know, your vehicle starts to roll backwards, it's not going to hit your garage. So you can see that indentation, and right there is coming in between the middle of this. So when I jack it up, there we go. You want to be as forward as possible, right about there. Now watch, you'll see how the jack's lifting towards the plate. And you can see that crease is right there in between. You'll hear the tires. Now, some don't recommend jacking it up right here, guys. You can jack it up on the A-arm or whatever if you're just like repairing a flat tire. But if you're gonna be doing both of your bearings, you might as well just get it off the ground and complete. So that way, and you need this block. And the reason I say that is because you have to jack this guy up tall. You can see that the struts are coming together. The whole machine is just like this. And this isn't gonna hurt your machine, but if you wanna get it off the ground at the same time so you can work on either side simultaneously or whatever, it's better to just jack it up like that. And you can see tires off the ground now on both sides. So now I can go ahead and get the tire off and we'll get started. So yeah, second guys, just make sure that you get some support under your vehicle. Jack stands, I had to use some blocks. I don't have like tall enough jack stands at the moment, so this is what we've been using in other videos, so it works. Okay, so let's just break free the lug nuts. And I know that some people will say my videos are so long because I don't do so many cuts. I like to show exactly how it went down, a more realistic view. One thing I did do, guys, is I did let the vehicle back down just slightly enough to put the tires on the ground so it holds them in place when I'm removing the lug nuts. And the center lug nut, the center nut that's going to sit right in here, the number 30 millimeter, I believe. Yeah, so once I break those just a little bit, like I was telling you, I just throw on yeah, I'm using a non-impact socket, but why not? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slightly, while you're looking at that, just jack it up just a little bit again. And that'll make sure the tire is not gonna slip. There we go. So now we're up off the ground all the way, since we already loosened them. Then once we get to the other side, we'll do it the same way. Four of them. Sorry guys, I'm putting everything where I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to just take this off gently. We'll just roll that out of the way over here. Yeah, I'm gonna cut right in front of you. Take a good look at that hub. This is the area we're gonna be cleaning off. When you're down here, just kind of do a general inspection of your area anyway. You know, make sure you don't have anything that looks jacked up, pitted, or rusted, or check your brake pads. You can see them right there. Yeah, look at those. Those are the brake pads. I still got a little 1/4 inch of a pad, so haven't really done a whole lot of wear on the brakes. Yeah, so this is where it gets pretty simple, guys. The first thing, and I'll just give you a quick overview of what we're gonna do, and then we'll just do it. We're gonna take this cap off gently. Under this cap, there's 4 little plastic prongs that hold each one of these sides in, so you don't want to just rip it off or bend it down or twist it. Don't twist it. Get a little tool, and if you look at that tiny little hole right there, and I'm going to get a better light going here, guys, for you, but there's a little tiny indentation on the edge of that where you can stick your screwdriver or a tip of something, whatever tool you're using, to pop that up. So that's what we'll do first. Second, we're going to take the 2 number 15 bolts that are on the back of your wheel or your brake caliper off, and then we'll just pull the caliper up and set it over to the side. And then this hub is attached to the rotor, so it's all one piece. So what we'll do is we'll take the number 30 nut off the center, and then this hub will slide off. Hopefully the splines that are on the CV axle are decent. One thing I do want to do when I have this down like this is I'll probably go ahead and lift this up just a little bit. And I know that you don't want to do this by hand, but yeah, sometimes you can put too much stress, and I am doing that right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna put some support under this A-arm, so that way it's not bending the CV joint down so much on an angle. I don't want it to rip the boots or to damage the CV joint spline. So we'll get this supported, and then we'll come back and we'll start tearing this down. Okay, so we wanted to just put, since we're jacking up the whole vehicle and both tires are off the ground, you want to kind of put like maybe a second jack and lift up your strut and everything right here, your A-arm, so that way there's not so much tension on the CV joint axle. So when you go to put the little tool in over the splines here in the center under this cap, you're not having to wedge it or jam it or hammer it in. This little cap right here, be careful, because if you've never taken it off, it can turn into a little nightmare. There's some little tabs that are right up under here. So as you can see, the screwdriver will stick in there like this on each one. Not like this, not off to the side, but right in that little hole like that. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna slowly pull that out a little bit and hold it, and then come to the next one, do that, and then come to the third one and do that, and then look. You didn't damage your cap, you didn't break none of these little prongs off, because if you break any of these little prongs, it's not going to put the cap up against there, and I go dropping it as I say that, but you're not going to be able to put the cap up and seal it from getting a lot of extra water in here. And if you see the threads down here closely, and I'll do some lighting as we try to look, but yeah, you can see the threads aren't all wasted or rusted. I'm hoping once we get this cotter pin out of here that when we go to take the hub off, it's not adhesed on real bad. It'll just kind of pop off, make the job a lot easier. But let's go ahead and get our next set of tools ready, and we'll start getting this pin off, this nut, and then our brake caliper bolts, and then we'll go from there. So this little cotter pin you want to take out of there. Let's get you something like some little pliers that you can just straighten it up like that with. Just be careful. You know, some people get in a rush and they want to just get this done right away, and they start. And not everything's gonna work out for you right off the bat, but if you get it where you need it and just be patient, you know, have the right tools laying around, just get it up a little bit, then you can take your two and just kind of pinch them together just like that, and then you can grab them, straighten them out. A lot of people say they just use a new cotter pin. I don't have one, so we're not going to do that. You just take this little screwdriver in there, and if that screwdriver is too small, just get a thicker one. Oops, just hit the camera. It's a tough one to get it out, guys. It's in there good, but there it is. It just flew. I'll grab it while you're taking a look. But yeah, so when you go to put it back in, that's why they kind of recommend getting a new one, so it's nice and straight. It'll just go through that hole. But there it is. A little bit bent, but that's it. I'll just set that off to the side there. I won't lose it or put it in a magnetic bowl. So that's the first step. Second step is I'm gonna grab the number 30 or equivalent to it. We'll figure that out here in just a sec. Just take a look at this. You can see kind of more or less where the hole was, and you could even mark the nut, put a little X on this side, or put up right there on the side of it, and then that way you know it's the side that's gonna kind of twist up. It should be more or less aligned there when you go to put everything back together if you're not moving everything. So we'll get this off right now. We'll get the socket and then we'll jump on that brake caliper. Okay guys, so before we take off our center nut off the CV axle, we're gonna go ahead and get this brake caliper off. 15mm socket, bolt right here, and right down here there's another one. Once you loosen and take those off, you should be able to just slide this off and put it to the side. Not sure on how tight these are. I haven't broken them loose yet, so we'll try to. I always do that just for the purpose of breaking it loose. It's a little trick I have, and then look. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to do that, but if the nut's really tight and you tighten it just a hair first and then reverse it, sometimes it'll break the threads free. And the one thing you don't want to do is take off one whole bolt, because then you'll be trying to take the other one off and your caliper will be kind of like doing this number going back and forth. So try to get both of these broke first. Once you do that, and that one's easier, so I didn't have to tighten it. And these are pretty tight, guys. Everything on here is brand new. As far as taking it off for the first time, I haven't done anything to remove these bolts before, so they're going to be real tight at first. Same with your machine. And this is the time where, when I say it's good to have a automatic battery powered ratchet, then you can just throw your other one on the ground and come back in here and just throw your 15 on here. And it might battery spark. Okay, so now that they're both completely loose, we'll just kind of hold the caliper for a second and just take them out. There's one has a little bit of the yellow Loctite. It's probably why they were so tight on there. You're just going to take your brake caliper. As you can see, you don't want to twist it around, but brake pads are still in there, so you just set it somewhere over here off to the side like that, and then just don't lose your two bolts. Set those. I'll grab my little tray here, and then we'll just go ahead and get that center CV axle nut off, and from there we'll be golden. Just keep a little bowl or something so you don't lose. So as far as this CV nut goes right here, this castle nut, you can tell because it has these little slits so you can get your cotter pin in. But the thing about it is you're going to probably want to take that cap off like we just showed you a little bit earlier and leave your tire on and have this on the ground, and then break this nut loose. That's what we actually did. So when you come up here to take it off with your 30mm socket and your impact, it'll easily come off. If not, you're going to be trying to take a breaker bar and you're going to be attempting to move it, and the tire is just going to move with it. So the tire will just keep on sliding if you have it up. If you try to push on the brake without the tire on instead, and then try to use the breaker bar with someone holding the brake, these things are on here pretty tight. So the brake, the hub is just going to slide also. So break it loose while the vehicle's still on the ground and the tire's still on. Once you get that cap off, you can access it right away without having to worry about taking the whole tire off first. So when you come back with your 30mm, you don't have any problem. You got a nut on there too, and you can see the side that has, this is kind of an important thing because this nut kind of bevels a little bit, but the side that has all the wear on it is the side that's going to be against the castle nut. The side that's fresh is the side that'll go in against that. So now, as you can see, this is the CV axle threads that come through.
Let me take a look. I don't even see. I see some grease actually. I don't know, man. There's grease in that thing, believe it or not. Let's take a closer look from the front. Just break everything. I'll take a look this way. Look at all the grease in there. There's white grease all up inside the splines. So that to me looks really greased good. Actually, guys, look at that. You know, I don't even know if I want to actually grease it, but I mean, we're doing the video, so we're going to take it off and look and just see if it's grease on the splines or if there's actually grease up in the wheel bearing. So let's get this hub off. Once you take the nut off and you take the brake caliper off, then it's just getting the hub off. The hub sometimes will be locked on there. So if it is, we're going to have a little bit of a pulling to get it off. We may have to tap on it with a mallet. Oh no, this one's coming good. Now look. So I just right away figured that the easiest way to do this isn't to give it a lot of pull like this. Too much of that pull is going to actually push on the splines and put pressure, not allowing it to come off easier. If you just take it and don't like pinch it, keep your finger and just do this. And then look at that. But look at all that oil in there, guys. Let's take a look. This is what I'm getting from my 2020 model. That looks pretty greased. More than greased. Let's take a look inside, see what we're working with here. I want to set this on some wood. I like to set these rotors on wood just in case, or somewhere where they're not gonna get all nicked or gouged on the rotor blade. So look in there. Yeah, I see. Well, you know what? I mean, it's greased a little bit. It's not greased well, guys. If you look in there, and you can see on that wall, as you sit right there, it's kind of hard to, but on that inner wall right there, you can see there's some residue of white grease. There's some on the splines. You can see it on my finger right there. So there's a little bit in there, but it's not packed well. So we're not gonna sit here and throw anyone under the bus, but apparently there could be a little bit more grease in there. I'm not sure what they're using on this one. This is like a white grease, but so yeah, that's how you get your hub off, your brake caliper off, and then you'll get your tool, which is to grease the wheel bearing with and slide it right over the splines of the CV axle, which is this. Let's see if this one's gonna fit right. You want to clean off all that. Look at that stuff. There's a lot of dirt in there. So before you get too crazy, I would just come in here, wipe it downwards, not up, so stuff falls to the ground instead of back up in it and on the splines of the CV axle, and just clean that up real good. So get all that stuff and garbage out of there and take care of this. There's some dirt in there. I can see it, so yeah. I'm sure it was a little bit of oil. So here it is. That's what it looks like. Has a little rubber O-ring that goes around the whole side of it. Pretty simple design. There's different designs that go, and that's how you want it. So just like that. You see how easy that fit, guys? Let me give you a little bit of better light. So there we go. There it is. Take a good look. That just sits in there like that, and your splines will be right there in the center of it. Then your grease circle will sit like that, and that'll sit flush right there. And you don't want to pump this so much that the grease is just sobbing out. As soon as you start to barely see it come out, just stop. That's all you need. One thing about this is that since there's a little bit of grease already in there, it helps this tool to slide right in, so that's nice. The other thing is this isn't going to be the first and last time you grease these, so don't think because you greased it once, unless you're going to get rid of your machine in, you know, like 500-800 miles. So you'll be back, so might as well just fill it up. Don't overfill it because you'll have to come in and put some more later. But yeah, let's go ahead and grab the grease gun. Let's go ahead and grab the grease gun, and let's get this thing going. Where are we at? I'll put that on the ground. I'm trying to give you guys the best lighting. We're working in the evening today. A little bit darker out, so we're trying to work with the best lighting we have. We usually do our videos during the day, but you know, we're busy, so let's go ahead. So what I've showed people on this, the tip of this, and we'll see if we can. So the tip of that you're gonna adjust it to fit. Once you get it over there like that, then basically you're gonna be able to grease it. But if you go to pull it off and it won't come off, just slightly turn on this to the left. It'll widen the hole a little bit and that'll come off so you're not jerking everything out. Well, let's give it a little bit of grease and let's see if we can see when it comes out. There's one pump, two, and I might have to get more grease than this. 3, 4. I guess these are bone dry. I was trying to give them too much credit. Yeah, these are dry, guys. I'm not even getting any grease out yet. In fact, I'm gonna have to change my grease tube out. It just ran out. What the fuck is going on? Okay, so after a catastrophe, we're back at it. Ran out of some grease here. Grease gun decided to come apart while I was installing the tube. These are bone dry, I guess, guys. I guess that little bit of residual oil they put in there is something else. I don't know how much of this oil is gonna go in there, but dang, I've already pumped it like 25 damn times already. Uh-oh, something's. Let's see. So yeah, just turn that way until it pops off. Look at my. Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun to get out there. So we may have to just get us a little tool, because when your hands are already greasy, yeah, it's not easy to pull this out, but you kind of gotta move the CV joint up and down. There we go. See, it wasn't too bad. Lighting's kind of sucks, but the grease is just barely starting to come out. Let's see if I can get that lighting a little bit better from that angle. Hopefully. Wow. Alright, cool. So. It was greasing the hell out of those. I can see the grease is entering the right spot in there. It's really hard to see with the naked eye from the camera view, but there's a little seam in there. It's like a little channel where the grease is going in. It was just starting to barely come out of here on the edge right up top here, so I'm gonna call it on that particular one. But yeah, and then you can see that the washer, whatever you want to call it, O-ring, stayed on, and you can see how the grease was coming out and it was going into that little slot. So yeah, these are definitely dry. It's getting the grease in there and it's doing the job. So after that, basically we're going to reverse everything we just got done doing. We'll put the hub back on, the brake caliper, you know, the nut, tire, and then that's it. That side's done, and that's what you'll do for all the other sides. It's pretty much the same concept, same tool. So yeah, and you can see that residual of the white grease. I think that's just a protection grease, guys. That's not even a grease. It's like they just keep it on the parts to keep them for shelf life from rusting or getting, you know, all condensated up. But yeah, take a good look at that. Make sure when you're done you get some grease on this first before you put everything back. The hub, you want to clean up the inside of your hub. We'll take a look at that real quick while we're at it. Right here, when you're looking at the inside, you can see that there's grease on the inside, so we'll clean all that old stock grease. But right around this area, if you got rust, you're gonna want to get like a little piece of there's like a certain type of sponge, I can't even think of the name right now, but yeah, you'll want to use that, not really sandpaper, to get that rust off. But clean that up, wipe off this whole area, put some grease around that and around the splines over there on your CV joint splines, right in there. But once you do that, then this hub will be ready to go back on, so we'll go ahead and get that done, and we'll be right back. So there we go, guys. As you can see, the splines on the CV axle have some good grease on it on the inside. I greased the bearing. The hub, I want to get grease all in there too. As you can see, I got on the spline hole right there for the hub. So we're just going to put it back on and see how this goes. one step at a time. And so on this, when you get it on, you know, they don't really tell you which way. There's not really a certain way. Just kind of line one of these up at the top more or less. And then you're just gonna take it easy. Because this could be one of those things that take, and one thing you want to do is try to hold your CV joint like that. Now you can see right here, and once we go to put it on the nut and tighten it, it's gonna firm that up, but you probably just want to clear all that nice mess out of there. It's been a good, greasy, fun mess today. It's one of those days where trial and error, but you know what? It's nice. Got everything done. Yeah, we'll get dirt in here, but we'll power spray it off. Yeah, like I said, this isn't my normal routine here. I don't normally do this, but so once you get that back on, then your brake caliper is ready to go back on too, and that's going to be right over here. So just take your brake caliper, and as you can see, this thick black piece, I'm not sure exactly the name, is going to go right in that slot there. And then your brake caliper, if you look right here, you can see that there's a gap. Well, that's going to go over your rotor, obviously. So you're going to want to line up your two holes. So you're just going to slide that in there, up over the brake. Then you're going to start a bolt, at least one on the top. Once you get that going, then I don't know if I can find the hole. There it is. Once you get that started, just a little bit, we can get the bottom one going over here. I'm trying to hold the light there, guys. All the way down at the bottom. There we go. Just kind of move it around until you feel it drop in the hole. Just don't cross thread it. It's one thing you don't want to do is cross thread this. Keep an eye that you're not gonna torque it too hard. There is torque specs on this, but at least get it tight, just slightly firm. Once you do that, then you'll be able to torque it down to spec in the final time right before you finish. So don't forget your torque specs. Okay, so yeah, your number 15 socket. Let's go ahead and get that kind of firmed up. Like I said, if you're worried about torque specs, then you know, you should check your specs with these machines. And that's firm. So I'll go ahead and get the bottom one done. I don't have to show you that. You guys know what it is. Just put the wrench on and wrench it in. And then we'll go ahead and get the center nut back on. And then we'll torque it. We'll give you guys the spec numbers in the description box below in case you guys missed that. And then the tire's ready to go back on and everything's greased up. So it's not a bad process. It's a little bit tedious if you're not sure where to go with it. The biggest thing is making sure that you remove this nut before you jack up the vehicle and take the tire off, because the brake pad or the brake caliper is probably not going to hold the hub steady while you're trying to torque that off. It's on there really good. So, all right, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so get your torque wrench. 37 foot-pounds on both of the brake caliper nut or bolts. I always want to say nuts. There's that. There's that. So that's it. Doesn't take much to torque those down. 184 foot-pounds of torque on the center CV axle nut for the next time. So don't forget your washer. Remember, the smooth side, it doesn't have all the wear on it. It goes towards the inside like that. And excuse me for not being a mechanic if I say something that wasn't the actual name, or I kind of lean towards a different general name for stuff. It's just because, you know, I'm not a mechanic, but I like to do this stuff and learn, so. And, yeah, let me get the other torque wrench and we'll go ahead and get that to 184 foot-pounds. Alright guys, so for 184 foot-pounds to torque this, you're probably not going to want to mess with the brake pad. We tried it out just to see and it just slides, so you're better off just putting the tire back on. So there you go. You're just learning a couple things. If this isn't something you've done before, now you know. Don't try to do it while you're
tires off because it's just not going to grip it right. Put that tire back on real fast. Don't forget to torque your lug nuts right. You know, put them on across from each other. We'll go ahead and finish putting this on real quick so we don't bore you to death. And then we'll come right back to torque that castle nut down. And that's it, guys. That'll be the end of this video. So we went ahead and threw the tire back on, got it tied down. We're gonna, this one's got to go in there pretty good, so I'm gonna get a better grip on it so I can. All right, here we go. There we go. So that's it. You hear that click? That's 184 foot-pounds. Let me show you. Yeah, so you can see the smaller one doesn't go up into the hundreds, guys. I think it goes up to like 50 or something, 100 or 85, I don't know. But you're gonna need a big one to do that center castle nut. So if you're planning on doing this yourself, invest in the $20, $25 and go get one. So that's that. Wasn't that hard? You guys seen what it took? It's a little bit of a learning trend. Okay, another final step there before you put your cap back on too is just get that cotter pin in there. I told you guys that I'm using, reusing this one. Might be a little bit of a job to get it back through, but yeah, don't forget your cotter pin though. And you're just gonna use your pliers to get that back through. All right, so now the cap, final step. Make sure those little prongs slide in right, clip in right, because you'll lose this cap if you don't. Make sure they bend in into the holes right, kind of push them in a little bit on each one as you slide it in, or they'll go outside of the hole and bend this way and break off. So, okay guys, cool. Thanks for hanging out today. Thanks for the patience once again. I know I could do a lot of cuts in this video and make it real short, just like ding, 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 but this is what makes the video different than other channels. Kind of like people to see what you can expect to get into. It's not as easy as editing makes it seem. We got some more videos on the forecast. Keep an eye on the channel. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I need to get to that 1,000. I want to do bigger and better things. We're going to probably be getting different machines too here in the future, maybe in the near future. So you guys might be seeing some other stuff on the channel here. As far as the next video goes, if you take a quick gander over this way to our little set, we've got a Lithuanian MRE, which is going to be the next video, guys. So you guys get a cool preview right off the bat. There it is. Bam, spotlight. There you go. So Lithuanian, cool background. We're gonna do that one for our next MRE video. So keep tuned in for that. If you guys are digging the MRE videos, give me a comment, let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd hope to see. Other than that, guys, thanks for stopping in to Review It TV, and we'll catch you on the next one.